you don't think that the public will perceive that the Democrats are responsible?
I mean, shutdowns are terrible, and of course there will be, you know, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously, but it is one of the few leverage times we have.
House Minority Whip Katherine Clark admitting that families will suffer under the ongoing shutdown, but calls it one of the few leverage times for the Democrats. Now, this is Oregon Democrat Jeff Merkley spoke on the Senate floor for 22 hours, 37 minutes, beginning his address Tuesday in protest of what he described as President Trump's authoritarianism. Now, the Senate once again failing to advance the House-passed funding bill that would end the shutdown for the 12th time. The Senate is set to take a key test vote today on a bill to pay military personnel and federal workers. The measure is expected at this point to fail. Republicans on Capitol Hill are discussing a plan now that could extend the current government funding levels through December of 2026. Some members are discussing that. Let's bring in Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. She's a member of the Senate Finance Committee. Senator, this is now the second longest shutdown we've had in modern history. Where do we stand right now this morning from your purview?
Well, where we stand is the Schumer shutdown has been pushed forward. And Cheryl, as you know, there is no reason for doing this. They have voted for these funding levels 5 different times. And now, because of Donald Trump, they are voting against it. And there is nothing to negotiate in the CR. It is a clean funding CR. However, the Democrats are trying to use this to take another giant step toward government-run, government-controlled health care. They've always seen Obamacare as a stepping stone to a single-payer system. And what they're trying to do is keep this subsidy scheme that is the Biden COVID credits. They're trying to make that permanent. And this is something that was to first expire in 22 and then in 25. These are the plus-up credits.
So you don't hear, so Senator,
Obamacare.
But you don't. So you have not heard any from any of your Democratic colleagues. You have not heard any conversations about votes changing on the Democratic side at all.
There are some who are beginning to weaken, but Cheryl, they're staying with it. They want to make Obamacare a full-time single-payer system. This is their goal, and they've been working toward that. And instead of going back to the Obamacare subsidy plan, which is in law, those base subsidies for those at 400% of poverty and below, they're not going away. But they want everybody, see, they took the income credit, the income caps off during the COVID experience, pandemic, and they had people making $500,000 getting an Obamacare subsidy on the marketplace.
Yeah, no,
they want to make that permanent.
I understood.
And sweep more people. Yeah.
No, only 7% of Americans even get these subsidies, and only half of them.
That's right.
Half these patients use it, meaning a lot of that money ends up going to the insurance companies. It's egregious. I want to get your reaction, though, to something that we heard this morning earlier on in the program. We had Congressman Michael Rulli from Ohio. Listen to what he told me about what he is hearing in the halls of Capitol Hill from the Democrats. Listen.
I would love to see a CR for 2026 in December, because that would allow us to do the people's work. Keep in mind, we gave them the skinniest CR they probably have ever seen. I believe it was 24 pages, the speaker said. There's no reason they didn't pass it. I spent the last week in D.C. Here's the scuttlebutt now. Everybody was saying they were going to wait for the King's marches to be over with, and they were going to settle either yesterday or today. And then we found out that they said they want to break the record. So they're on the Hill bragging about how they want to break the record to see how long they could keep it shut down. And then I heard 2 or 3 Democrats in one of the clubs saying that they would like to see it go till Thanksgiving. So they are reckless. They are playing with the people's payrolls. It is very scary.
Thanksgiving, Senator, your reaction?
They are trying to get health care for illegal aliens and taking another step on Obamacare ahead of our federal law enforcement, ahead of our military, ahead of SNAP benefits for women and children. They are reckless. And Cheryl, they continue to push to keep this going. They were going to end it after No Kings. And then they said, oh, we'll be blamed for caving in. Then it was going to be, let's make it past November 1st. And there is a reckless nature to this. President Donald Trump is within his right to begin to eliminate federal programs, because if they want to keep the Schumer shutdown going, then they are being reckless with the U.S. taxpayer and the federal government and our military and our national security and the benefits that people are there to receive. Now, one of the frustrations is you do have a few Democrats who are working with us to end this and realize this is a clean CR. It allows us to continue the appropriations process and to address the funding levels that the Democrats say they want to address. And Cheryl, bear in mind, of our appropriations bills that have come out that we're wanting to take up on the floor, the majority of these came out of committee on a bipartisan vote.
But now, let me ask you about this, because we had Speaker Johnson on with us earlier in the week, and he still, even today, he maintains that they can make that November 21st deadline when it comes to the appropriations process. But Senator Thune, Leader Thune, is saying now, and he said it already this week, that he thinks that maybe it's time for the House to come back because of the appropriations process. Do you think there's enough time on the calendar right now, considering what we're hearing from the Democrats about continuing the shutdown through November? What does this do to the whole appropriations process? I mean, this could become a very difficult road.
Well, 3 of our approps bills are already through. We're ready to go to conference on that minibus. We're ready to work on the NDAA. That has passed the Senate. And we have other bills that are ready to go to the Senate floor. As I said, they're primarily bipartisan bills. So we could make this deadline. We might be here working through the weekend next weekend. But of course, we could make that deadline. It would be helpful for the House to come back and to work on that appropriations process, plus to push forward other bipartisan legislation that deal with technology, things that deal with other components we're seeking to address. And, you know, Cheryl, there is a lot on our plate.
Yeah.
President Donald Trump is pushing forward a lot of good policy. There are executive orders in place. We need to codify those executive orders.
Absolutely. I don't have much time with you left, Senator, but I quickly got to ask you, Senator Cruz is now added to that list of congressional members whose phone records were subpoenaed. Yeah. You're on that list. Former special counsel Jack Smith's, probes into President Trump is in the spotlight. Senator Cruz's records were ultimately not analyzed because AT&T decided not to comply with the subpoena. But former special counsel Smith is standing by his decision on these subpoenas and surveilling you and your colleagues. Your reaction?
There is no reason he should have done this. And we do know that it was a spying mission. It was a violation of our First and Fourth Amendment rights, a violation of the Speech and Debate Clause, the Stored Records Act, and the separation of powers. And of course, we're going to move forward to take steps against him. I sent AG Bondi a letter asking for him, Jack Smith, to be referred to the Office of Professional Conduct over at the DOJ. And we look forward to moving forward with that and also seeking to have him disbarred in the 2 states where he is licensed to practice law.
All right, Senator Marsha Blackburn, always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to be watching
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.